Welcome to Mindful Drawing. I'm Robert, and I'll be your guide on this meditation practice that enters a space of mindfulness through the act of drawing. This week, we'll explore a maze. Let the mind unfold through the continuous curve and line, fill out a space with a bit of a pattern or algorithm reaction, and let the ins and outs, the folds, the jaunts, the kinks, and the ever-expanding relationship of just two roughly parallel curves make something there on the page for our mind to inhabit into, to explore, to find figure, field, pattern, and shape from that blank canvas of the page that we start with. We'll jump right in with a little bit of a warm-up and introduction to the idea and the technique. I'm going to be using pen for most of it, a little pencil at the end probably, just to do some shading and bring a graphic character to the drawing, but you can use whatever you feel comfortable with. There'll be a lot of moving of the hand, a lot of moving and flexing of the forearm, so anytime you need to, take a stretch, take a break, switch instruments, and explore in this 20 to 30 minutes of mindful drawing. Go ahead and gather your supplies, establish your space, and let's draw together. And some of the other stuff I'm doing with the class, we're studying inflatables in kind of a academic way, so it's these patterns that make complex shapes, but one thing that comes out of it are these kind of space filling patterns, some of them slightly based on natural algorithms, but basically a bunch of parallel tubes everywhere, so the tubes have a similar distance between them all over the place, except organic. And it might look like things you've seen, but we'll try to experiment with it. And it's very free, very open, could move a line or curve any direction, and it can turn back and follow itself, loosely parallel, kind of the same distance. It can move around a page. It can have short runs of coiling, extend out, and track back. And I think the part of it that becomes the most engaging for the exercise is keeping the mind on just having that close to parallel distance while being able to travel kind of any which way, turn back in, back around. Maybe kind of like the stripes on a zebra, or coils or folds in the brain, many things that have similar patterns of reaction. But it might take a little practicing, and eventually the thing will form itself either kind of a spiral, like a maze, or a boundary that becomes more of an object with pattern inside. You don't really need to know where it's going to go, but if something guides your eye or your imagination, feel free to follow it. And practicing a couple of times just to warm up the hand, maybe even just a little light back and forth in a parallel direction, or letting it drift a little bit out of that. Small inconsistencies will be normal, but we have a large range of freedom to start to play with how things can change over a space. And if nothing comes to mind in a figuration beforehand, that's a pretty good place to be. So we'll just follow the curves and see where different things take us. Any kind of organization may come out of that. If you're interested in more, you can find them in space filling patterns or reaction diffusion algorithms in terms of the natural systems that use them, or the geometric systems. But to enter into this, start myself with a pen. Have a pencil handy. Maybe if we get far enough to come back in and start to find spaces between the lines, give it a little graphic quality. A few breaths just to establish and center. Let the moving of the hand during the introduction and warm up come into the body, come into the mind. Let it integrate a little bit with a few relaxing cycles of just grounding, presence. You're letting the fingertips touch the paper, the medium, just getting a feel and sense for it, its proximity, its distance, its texture, its backing, table or sketchbook, whatever surface it's on, providing support for the actions at play. And as you feel ready, picking up the instrument you'd like to draw with, pen or pencil, all work fine. Finding a place to begin on the page, anywhere will do. It feels comfortable, feels where the pen wants to start. Take a nice, engaging breath, and as the exhalation relaxes the body, just begin that movement. The pen will kind of keep moving at all times. So look at the speed, fast or slow, long distances or short, and use it as our guide. Wherever it's already starting to move, we can bring the speed into our attention first, using our breath as a measure. No need to control the breath, just witnessing its in and out as our hand moves, finding a comfortable medium or in between, finding a natural rhythm to the motion of the hand, motion of the breath, maybe a more stable place of shape, but anytime free to move off, find a new path, and find smoothness or consistency in that motion. Breathing at a regular pace, moving at a regular pace, letting things come together and normalize a little bit. We'll begin to give it a little guidance, changing the pacing between the in breath and the out breath. As you move, start to slow the pace down on the inhalation, just to where it's still easy to move freely. Focusing just on the inhalation for now, slowing down that pace as you inhale, allowing whatever comes as you exhale. Giving one part of the breath the attention and allowing the other part a release from that, perhaps a return to the normal pace or speeding up to let things move freely. Noticing if anything changes in the slow or the fast. Slow inhalation and release to the breath, the body adapting, perhaps a releasing through the exhalation as well. And with a rhythm set on the inhalation, slow, Try to keep that speed now through the exhalation. I find a tendency to want to speed up in exhaling, so trying to keep an evenness. Just as the slowness may reach the edge of kind of comfort and control in the technique, the lines perhaps a little wobblier, a little more jittery. You can let the breath bring release to that action. On an exhalation, letting it speed back to what feels normal. Letting the slowness return to ease. Noticing it on the exhalation. How does it bring smoothness? And as everything returns to a nice, simple pace, taking note of where you find yourself in the drawing. Perhaps an end to the motion. An opportunity to start again, to guide to a new area. Bringing that attention back to the parallel connections. Noticing the character of your curves. Some may take on more evenness, others more differentiation, deflection. Noticing if that's in the short or the long, the wide or the narrow. And working for a few moments to bring them more consistency. The attention of the mind connection with the hand, the eye guiding, generally parallel. Finding a speed that supports moving with ease, but moving with accuracy. And if from time to time we miss direction or a line, give a little more space or a little less, we notice, we go back to guiding with the eye, letting the hand follow, breathing through any disconnect, wobble, change of direction on the page that may bring challenging orientation. Gently returning it to even when we can, looking to bring that parallel consistency to the space between the curves. 1, 2 per channel, moving along. In the overall scheme, some bumps and wiggles may stand out. Some may disappear into the complexity, but the whole will take its own character on. We are just observing it, letting it be a platform for practicing that connection between the hand and the eye. If you begin to notice a bit more wobble here and there, perhaps a little fatigue sets in, so much focus and attention, that interface between the pen or pencil and the page, so much complex movement, new directions and orientations, the path forward not always visible, the local structure unique to each space. You can always take a break from the action. Let the mind rest. Move at a different speed. Now that we've been here a while, training the relationship of parallel tubes, continuous edges or lines, maybe feel more comfortable guiding it. Make it speed up a little bit. Move more quickly through the space. I'm going to begin working to create boundary or outline in a light way, some openings still available. Just to see where there might be a perimeter that forms to give a general shape to parts of the overall, maybe in small runs, or one big boundary, whatever works for you. Looking at the outer edges, at the completion of shapes in areas, and seeing what you find for a few moments. Before we may begin to move into looking inside the pattern. A little consideration of the edge, maybe some broader, longer strokes, maybe some strange moments, bringing things back together. But a large area is covered, generally parallel tubes winding in and out, wrapping around each other, making it hard to find the start and the end. Maybe a couple loose ends here and there, or perhaps everything came together and closed up neatly. But somewhere there's an inside and an outside, next to an inside and an outside. Within that, we may be able to give differentiation, starting somewhere and following it along. So switching to another medium shading or pen or pencil, or adding some kind of definition. I see little three-dimensional tubes, just small, repetitive, slight arcs in a space that might start to bring something into looking like a segmented body, roots growing around, little tubes or tunnels digging through. a way to distinguish one side from the other. This could be anything: colored pencil, shading, a little of both, hatch lines, but find something. They can start to follow a path, see where the maze goes, and with it, every step, change the figure below, bring form or graphics. Starting to wander through that collection of paths, interconnected with meandering tubes. And use 5 minutes or so just to draw. Feel free to change and play with mediums at any time. Don't have to complete every run and every part. Work for a while. See an opportunity, shift strategy, and draw in the space you've made. As we work through a large field with potentially many divergent, complex zones, we may start to see patterns emerge, the relationships between space and things, in and out. We also begin to see an overall, a whole coming through. Or just follow the technique, follow the reading of the paths, finding your journey through the space set up here. Like me, your hand may get a little tired with many small strokes. Bring something in that moves a little differently. The pencil for a little while, bringing tone or shade to pull things forward, differentiate figure, field a little bit. Whatever you find, state of your hand in the last few minutes, a final looking inwards as the body and eye, the hand and paper through that instrument of pen or pencil begin to work freely, begin to know the paths, know the space. We don't bring so much attention to their exact application. Perhaps the mind can wander out a little and notice some of the broader, more subtle sensations, letting the senses bring us back, but also encapsulate the whole of the experience, the whole of presence now, working through them at your pace, noticing smells, scents, maybe the temperature of the air relative to the temperature of the body. The windows open to something drift through that was part of the natural background atmosphere, now slowly present in the mind. Noticing. What have the feet been doing all this time? Sitting in shoes, resting on the floor, propped. Are they in contact with the ground? I notice a breeze, a light air current at the floor, moving across my feet. The small, sensitive, but often out of the way hairs that stick up, picking up those slight changes in the environment. ready to rebalance, to send important signals through the chain from the periphery to the core. Other sounds, leaves, traffic, birds, perhaps music. Letting the ears pick up the scratching of the pen or the pencil on the page. And notice all the volumetric and subtle sounds around. The smell, the sound, the touch, maybe even a little taste. It's left in the mouth. Time spent focused and breathing. Bring a change in atmosphere, change in humidity or dryness. All these things coming together build the sensory image, multi-dimensional inhabitation of our space and our environment. Always there, always providing feedback, interface, but sometimes subtle and in the background. Through practice, the method of engaging in presence, we can bring them forward for a little bit to fill out the fuller picture. As we're near the end of the time, take a break, bring the whole body back together. We stretch the hands a little bit. One's been working a bit hard with a lot of curves and lines. And take a couple of deep breaths at your pace, just to settle back into all those senses. Let them all recalibrate to their normal action and guide you for the rest of your day. I'm having fun with this one, enjoying tracking through all those folds, and I think I'll continue to stay with those senses, continue to let the world around me shape that complex, multi-dimensional atmosphere while I keep exploring, working through the drawing, letting my eyes drift out, get tired, letting my hand work beyond its normal motion, and see what I might find there after a little longer practice. So enjoy a little time lapse for yourself. Hopefully you can take some time to continue drawing. If you like the channel, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more weekly episodes of Mindful Drawing, tell your friends, and draw well. Thank you.